All right, excuse the mess. So I'm doing a LED swap. These are red, these are white. Came with a little twisty socket holders, but I only swapped out the browns, except for the big guy right here. And then the two up front. And then the turn signals, I swapped with whites. Because that should be green. But I'm gonna see how those look here in a second. This is probably the worst time to do it. Do I have something? I can't see shit. All right, so here's the turn signals. They kind of turned a teal, now with the LED. What else? I don't have a high beam light for some reason. I don't know which one that one is. Oh, it is right there, never mind. All right, cool. I don't know why I couldn't find it. Yeah, so I still gotta do the big bulb in the middle, looks like right here. And then I think there's a bulb I missed out over here. So this does actually look better than that. The camera's blurring it out. This looks way cleaner. And there, along with the brake. Oh, my brake light's back. Hold up. Was it just a bulb this whole time? Get out of here. Get out of here. Hold up. No, 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 no. That's funny. I thought my brake light was out this whole time. Alright, so I'm gonna show you how to change the mileage without ruining it. Alright, so what we have to do is pop off this gear track. At least pull it back enough to move all these because it's what's locking it, but we can't pull it back because the maintenance gear is in the way, so we got to pull that off. But how we do that is there's a tab right here we gotta pretty much just pry up, and then it'll all pull out. I'll show you right now. All I did was thumb now, kind of lifted it up and pulled it back, and this side kind of just pulls, should just pull out. Come on. Oh, there it goes. Be very careful. So it just slides in. There's a slot right here and then a slot right there, and then it clips into these little hang studs. But that's what's stopping this gear track from, I guess, pulling back. So we get our micro. All right, that's out on that side. And so when you do this, when you push this side, it's gonna wanna kind of push that side. Well, let's see. I don't know if I've done it without the... So what I'm gonna do is put my finger right here to put pressure, so it gives it leverage. Slide in there. Oh, did I just snap it? Just snap it. Okay, did it. So I think that is a stress mark though. It looks a little too white right here. I think maybe this was pulled out too far, so it was too much of an angle when I was pulling it out. So I might have gave it something extra. But I want to say now we can lightly pull on the gear and just barely prop it out. So now it isn't disengaged. So now we could set it, and I have it on my arm right here. One, this is another thing too, you have to hold. 187. Try not to mess this up too much. 187, 430. It was 429, so let's give it a extra, say 2 miles. Where did I go? And then now we carefully and gently place it back. Try to see where everything falls. I feel like these numbers aren't numbering right. Come on. You kind of have to have it up to the upper position. Let's do all those up. See, hopefully it brings it back down. So it's not doing its thing. 130. I'll take that. Not exactly where I'd like it, but let's see. Wiggle all these and jiggle all these just to make sure that the gears are kind of still doing their thing. Make sure this is seated right. This pin. Just give it some pressure. All right, it's working. Probably got the extra 10 miles on there. All right, it is what it is. I don't want to mess with it too much because once you break something, there's no going back. So on top of this, I'll show you guys this. So just once you pull out the unit, this is my broken one. I broke the tab on that because I didn't pull this out. But this pulls off back. It pulls out those 4 plugs, and then these 4 plugs. They plug into this and this, and this is what spins your dial. You can take this out as well. Oh yeah, and I also snapped this in the tip of this pretty much. It doesn't stick out pretty much there. Well, I guess I could show you guys. So yeah, this one was a pain to pull off. Oh yeah, and to mention the faceplate on these, once you pull out the 2 screws, you can grab it with your fingers, but I feel like needle nose is the safest. But you'll have to bend the plate just a little bit just to get the needle nose in there. So FYI, this one was a pain to get to. But I'm gonna show you guys how to, I guess, assemble it all back together and then calibrate it. I guess I didn't show you guys putting this back on. So everything's set, and you can see the mechanism, I guess. Well, here, let's put this in first just to give it some rigidity. Slide in, boom, boom. Yeah, you're probably gonna have to lift up that. Oh, never mind, this goes right in. Just make sure that these 2 nipples are in that slot. Clips in. I guess you could also test the blue gear. Oh, does it spin? No, I think it takes a while for it to spin. It has to go on that 3rd one. But yeah, we could see, I guess up top right here, I'll show you guys. All I'm doing is pressing the button right here, and it activates this lever action right here. But it raises that bar, which is pretty much the same thing on the bottom. Goes to 0. And this is your maintenance scroll too, so pretty much after so many miles it'll scroll up to red. I want to say it's for oil changes. But fun fact, put everything back together. Well, I guess this part should be a little bit shorter and quicker. So I just changed the mileage on this, on the speedometer tach mechanism. Got my CRV faceplate. I'm gonna put this on first. Well, I guess you're gonna have to do that regardless. All right, and I noticed for these as well that you don't want to secure down, or you don't want to tighten these down all the way. Don't fasten them completely. And that's gonna be because of the main bezel, I guess. You guys. A good tip is to have a microfiber handy whenever you're doing this, because little specks like to, I guess, show up everywhere and smudge. And you don't want to assemble this all together and there be like a smudge somewhere that you just gotta stare at for, I guess, until you do it, until you have to clean it. I'm getting a bunch of grease marks from my finger, maybe is what it looks like. Wear gloves, that could help. Alright, so we got the back tighten, the front quite not tighten on the faceplate because this guy right here, I actually swapped out a better one. What is it called? The color film of the indicators right here. It was peeling, I guess, so it's kind of spotty. And I got a new one, so this is pretty easy to get. If you're at the yard, try to get that. You can also just pull off these plates only, so that way you don't have to, I guess, walk out with too much. So if you need to do that, go ahead and do that. Be careful, you could easily break that and chip that as well. Do that at your own risk. But if you're at the yard and you need some new ones, these ones are a lot cleaner than my old ones. I already assembled it back together, but little tip for cluster tampering. Guess what we're doing too, also why we didn't tighten it up, is because these pins right here, they go into the cluster faces, so that's kind of what centers them. We want that a little bit loose, that way you can see properly and it won't hang up or hold up anything. Well, I just fell right in. Money. And then you could also kind of try to twist. See if that helps. Just to center anything. Also, a reason why this plate will get hung up, because it should come off by itself. None of the face plate should move with it. But a reason why it gets hung up is because you're lifting it at an angle with the plate. And you could actually bend it. I bent this one right here, but it was behind the plate, so you can't really tell. And I want to say we got this assembled for the most part. Tighten down these screws. Don't want to do it later. Make sure there's no dust, no little specks. Get all that fought out. All right, and the next, we're gonna do the first, I guess, shroud. Nasty. Ooh, careful. Almost broke my RPM dial. Or the, having a brain fart, whatever this is called. Needle. Everything's tied down and secured. We got the back secured, the front secured. We're gonna plug it in without the clear face. And to do this, all we're gonna do is put the key in the on position. I wanna say it's the on position. And the reader will set itself to 0, and then that's when we put on the tack. And it shouldn't move at all either, so you kind of have to set it at 0, kind of on the needle, and then push it up a little bit. That way it gives it that leeway of resting in 0. Okay, so with all this, I finalized and dialed in all of the LEDs. Got both of the gauges. I kind of like that this is still blue, but it has the orange, I guess, extreme markers. So it kind of all goes together. I like it. But for the LED setup, there's two things you could do. You could either go all white, or if you want red. If you do all white, honestly, I think the blue tacks are better. But if you want to do red, the orange complements it. Or maybe you could do red with the other way. And I'm sure you could even, there was a way to use some acetone to get rid of something to make the color another certain way. But anyways, you're gonna need T5s and then one T10. There's a big bulb, it's a T10. So I did all reds except for anything that wasn't red. So we got the blinkers, high beams, check engine. I want to say everything else is red, and then those guys are white. So you're gonna want to get you a pack of the white LED T5s, a pack of red LED T5s, and then you're gonna get like maybe a couple of the T10s. That's just how they sell them. They're a little bit bigger, so you are gonna need one of those to do the main light up over here. If you don't have that T10, it's just gonna be dark over here. But this is the best setup I've seen. So you do all those colors that I said. So all the main bulbs are red. Everything that's red is red. Yep, all that's red. Oh yeah, and then these two top ones, this one's out right here, so you can see this. So you see how that one's lit up? And then this one is not lit up. What's going on? Sorry, I guess another tip for this and figuring out the light bulbs and whatnot that I guess I kind of didn't mention. So all this was flipped around, and so this also connects to this light for these two specifically. So if this one's not powered right, you're not going to get any light to this, whether it's plugged in the right way or not. So let's say this wasn't working, or they both weren't working. You got this one to work and this one still doesn't work, and you're like, what the heck? You flipped it around and and it still doesn't work, it could be the actual light bulb in there that has to get flipped around so it goes in bi-directional. So that's another thing. So there's, I guess, 4 ways it can get put on. Well, I guess 4 things to check. The 2 ways is I guess up and down for this, and then up and down for the light bulb. So whatever way you want to look at it, just something to check, something to test. I hope this helps them. So I'm gonna play with that right now. And that's what I seen what the best setup was for this. So if you want to go red, do that, and it makes all these pop out. If you do white and the color layer is peeling off, it will definitely show through. I took it off of my truck. What do I have it? No. Okay, so I don't think I have it, but it definitely does show when you have the white. It's like a speckly deal. But yeah, other than that, this is complete. This is how it's done, and everything's working. It's operational. I guess I didn't mention that you didn't have to drill open these screws, so that was a little benefit. Showed you guys how to change up your mileage. That way you can keep it true to whatever engine you have, and that way it's, you know, I guess OEM, but right, you know, as close as it gets. All right, so for calibrating, all we need to do is turn it to the on position and then put in the dial right at 0. Make sure it doesn't have any lift once you turn over the car at all. Sorry. Make sure it doesn't have any lift once you turn over the car. So you kind of have to place it strategically. And then, all right, let's see if it... I guess this is a verification test you can do, is just to flip it around. So usually, I mean, I guess it does fall down to 0. But what I had was that it was up at 40 and it would kind of go up and down. But if you flip it over all the way around, it should fall back down with gravity. I want to say it probably should have went to 0, but since it didn't, a good test just to make sure that you are at 0 and it's kind of working right is put the key on, have it all the way flipped over, and it should still go back to 0. So it did. So if I go back down, take the resistance off, and I'm gonna flip it back. Another test to do with this is, I guess, run your Google Maps and see how that correlates with your speed on here, and just use the I guess miles per hour on that. I'm gonna start it up, see what happens. Nothing. It's about a mile off, a mile under, which isn't bad, but could be better. It is what it is. I don't want to mess with it too much anymore. It's not bothering me any. But yeah, I did have to use a mile per hour tracker. What I seen was that you had the top part of the needle has to be, I want to say, like just a hair below the 0 on this side, and you also got to flip it over the resting needle. So the needle right here to rest on, you're gonna have to throw it over that. So start before it. It's gonna be way before it. There's gonna be a gap between that and the needle when you put it below by the 0, but that should get you closer for starting. But like I said, pull out the app, gauge it that way, I was able to do it in, I guess, two laps around the block, and it wasn't too hard. Yeah, and I want to say that's it for this. Anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. Until next time, we'll see what I have in store for you guys. But yeah, go ahead and subscribe, comment, any questions, go ahead and leave them down below. And yeah, I appreciate y'all. Thanks.